Let's take a look at animating this bucket and rope running through this pulley system. Okay, so there's a few ways that we can go about doing it. I thought we could take a look at using an old morph trick that works pretty fast. So what I'm going to do to make our life much easier is I'm going to start by rotating all of this so that it's laying down the z-axis. Okay, so something like this. Okay, and then I'm going to build one morph. I'm going to take this entire object right here, go over to M for morph, new, and I'm just going to call this pulley. Create, and I'm going to move the bucket all the way down. Okay, that's just our morph, one move. Put it back to the base, and now all we have to do is create a bone chain. Now we can do this in layout, but I'm going to go ahead and set up a spline that we can convert to SkelligOns, and then we can convert those SkelligOns into bones, just so we can kind of see that process. Okay, for starters, let's use the shapes that we already have to build our base spline. So I'm just going to run along the shape here, just selecting the points, and this will wrap around the pulley system. Okay, now this is a three-dimensional object, so I do need to deselect the back points. I'll hit Control P to make a spline, cut, paste that into layer 3. So here we have the spline. I need to make the spline a little bigger, so I need a little bit more. So I'm going to go to Create, and let's go over to Points, and I'm just going to create a point here. I'm going to create a point here, and then I'll create a point here. Okay, those are selected. I'm going to deselect, keep that one selected, select this point, Control P. Okay, so I have one spline, two spline. I'm just going to Shift Z, and now that's one spline. Okay, let's make another one. 1, 2, Control P with the third one. Select both of these, Shift Z, and now we've got one spline. And this is going to be our shape that we want to run the rope through. Okay. Now I'm going to go ahead and convert this to SkelligOns. So I'm going to come over to the Setup tab, under SkelligOns, More, Convert to SkelligOns. It keeps my spline. I can cut and paste that into layer 4. And I've got my SkelligOns here. Okay. And I'm just going to cut and paste those into the same layer with the bucket and rope, because we're going to use those inside this object. Okay, so I'm going to cut the spline and put it in layer 3. Now that's just in case if we want to come back and use it again. So one thing I can do, if I don't want it to be sent over to layout, I can go ahead and go over to the Windows tab, go to Layers, and on that layer, this little dot underneath the eye, okay, when I turn that off, I can still see it. It's not a visibility in modeler, it's a visibility in layout. So now that tells layout to only look at layers 1 and layers 2 and layer 2. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and save this. I've got everything set up the way I need it, and I'm going to send it over to layout. Okay. Now in the end, I'm going to want to have my bucket and pulley system facing up. So we're going to get that, we're going to start to set that up. But the light and camera, I'm going to get that out of the way. So I'm going to go to the scene editor, and I'm just going to hide and lock those just for while I'm setting up. I don't want those to get in the way. Okay. So now I have this. I'm going to go ahead and make the bone system. So set up with the bucket and rope selected. That's the object that has the SkelligOns in it. So set up, convert SkelligOns, 41 bones created. There we go. Now, because I'm converting the SkelligOns to bones, it's carrying over some information that I'm going to go ahead and get rid of. So I'm going to select all the bones. Okay. Go over to the scene editor, go to the properties panel, and I'm going to open this up just so we can really see what's going on. Okay, that'll work. And let's get a list view going here. Now what I'm going to do is wipe out the heading and pitch information. So I'm going to select this first panel, scroll down, select, I'm shift selecting so it selects all of these. Then I can take the adjust properties to 0, apply, and it applies it to every single bone for the heading and pitch. Okay, so that just gets us back where we need to be so that those are zeroed out. Okay, so now all we need to do is select our, well, I also want to go over to the bone properties and make sure that used morph positions is on, because we're going to morph this object. So P for properties, come over to object properties, add displacement, morph mixer, double click. We've got our morph mixer window here, and I'm just going to on frame 60 morph up to 100%. Okay, and we can already see that it's fed through the pulley system. So if I scrub through here, you can see it's animating as if the rope is being pulled through the pulley system. Okay, but it's laying down on its side, and I really don't want that. So I'm going to add a null, and I'm going to call this master. Let's go ahead and give it a shape. We'll do a box. And I'm going to take the bucket and rope, M for motion options. I'm going to parent that to the master. Then I'm going to go to the layer 2, which is the pulley system, parent that to the master. Come over to the master, Y for rotate, and let's just rotate that up. Okay, that works. And now I'm just going to position my window so we can see our setup here. Okay, and now when I scrub through, you can see the rope feeding through and working with the pulley system. Now, it's not a requirement, but one thing I like to do, once I have this set up, and I like it for my animation, I can go ahead and hide the bones, because there's no reason to see them at this point. So I can go back over to the scene editor and just come through and hide the bones. I could also lock them if I want, but I feel like hiding them does the job. So I'm just going to hide all these guys. I can decide, maybe to leave maybe one of the bigger bones visible, but I'm just going to hide all these. Okay, and now we have just the portion that we need to see for our animation. And that's just a quick setup for doing a pulley system for this bucket and rope and these pulleys.